What's up, YouTube? Last time I told you guys I was gonna show my Bolero portfolio and I didn't. So I start off with this first before I actually move on to my faults. I did do some analysis already, so I can show you in the next fragment hopefully. So instead of 500 euros, I think we're gonna start off with a better amount. I can use all the good luck charms I can get, so we're starting off with 420 euros. As you can see, I just added it, I think it was yesterday. So I started off with 6,000 euros, I think, a little over a year ago. 17.5, yeah. We're the 13th of July now, so it's like a year and a month ago, something like that. And we started off not so good. We made a few good turbo trades, I think. Then yeah, some overstaking, thinking I was seeing things, and then some lucky shots, I guess. This was, I think, Galapagos announced that they were gonna merge with Chileite Science, and I guess it was a pretty big thing. I didn't realize a thing about this, so I was just pure luck for me. And I think I made up 7,500 euros, and after that, yeah, it only went down. Then I was only for a long time in some stocks. I didn't really turbo trade it too much anymore. And then when the pandemic came around the corner, I guess you could say, I kinda sold all my shares I had left, all the long-term investments, and I started turbo trading again. And as you can see, I was down at 500 euros at some point. Like, it's pretty much where I'm not at now, and as you can see, I made some huge calls there, allowing me to almost tenfold, I guess, no, ninefold or something, my money from a week ago. Okay, 2 weeks ago, 10 days, so it's 2 weeks. But yeah, afterwards, you can clearly see it was a lucky shot. Afterwards, yeah, the story explains itself. I thought the market would crash faster and stuff, and yeah, at last I kept on going up and stuff, and European indexes weren't doing so well as I hoped that would do, or not on the right time, I guess. So then I was at 30 euros. It was when I called it my first account. So now we're starting the second time with 420 euros. As you can see, it's been a rough week. I think most of the indexes were down negative for the week, but on the last day, Friday, yesterday, they kinda recovered a bit, so we'll see how this goes. Oil price is also a bit rising again. Gold is really high lately, I guess, and the US dollar is getting a bit stronger, it seems, but we'll see. Okay, so next up, I guess, unless I want to show something here, I don't think so. So next up will be hopefully my mistakes and some rules that we can implement in. Because how am I seeing it is that, as you can see, I made some huge calls and turbo trades over the last year, and a few more or less good ones. So I think if I can implement some good rules, make me adhere to them, and see that every time I buy a turbo, I don't think I will buy any stocks or something solid. I think I will only go for turbos and maybe some option trading here and there if I see fit, because in Belgium or like in Europe where my broker is, it's kinda expensive. I always have to pay transaction fees, and every option I'm buying is also like a huge fee that is for each turbo. So I can't buy too many contracts at once, for otherwise my fee would be too high. So I have to resort to lesser contracts, but which potentially could make huge monies, or which less risk, I guess. If my options would be more expensive, I guess the risk would be less, so less potential profits. I think I'll have to resort to that in order to don't ramp up the transaction fees, because as you can see, I calculated how much I had in total, and it was way too much for actually to make any money in the long term with so many transactions that I made. But yeah, see you in the next fragment. Okay, here we are at my updated spreadsheet. As you can see, I made 3 new columns here at right. Return on investment, seeing how much I returned or profited on the total amount of money I put up at front. Then with my fees divided by the investment, is just seeing that, okay, shares have a really low, less fee interest than, for example, turbos here, which are usually around 0.1%, while shares are at 0.3 or 0.03. And then I have the type of investments and seeing if it actually made me money. So a long-term investment that didn't make money, going long on the turbo, which failed, going long on the turbo, which made me money. And these colors represent how much money I made. So yellow is mostly not really big wins, or something like 12%, 1%. The light red are like little losses, mean 11%, mean 6%, mean 5%. And the big red ones are the ones we're gonna go over, and the big green ones, which are like more than, what was it? The big red was more than 35% loss on investment, and the green ones are more than 20% profit on investment. So I think these are the ones we're gonna go over. I highlighted them, and then yeah, I also finished them downstairs at the bottom. I mean, so it kind of looks a bit less. I don't even know what I did here. Like, let's just say I basically rage quit it. I calculated total amount of money I paid to my broker for all the transactions, and as you can see, I'm 4,500 euros. Like, Jesus, almost 4,600. It's like, what? It's like 3/4 of what I put up in front. So I guess I made most of the money went to my broker. Oh well. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, it doesn't matter. Then this is how much long calls I made, long options, long turbos, and short turbos. So I usually was very bullish for what I think was gonna happen. So okay, I'll see you at the first example, I guess, of all my biggest mistakes. Okay, one thing I want to note before I proceed, like, I make a lot of grammatical and terminology faults, which I will improve on in the future. It's just I'm learning also. I'm pretty new to trading, so go easy on me, please. So let's see the first example here. This is a PostNL. It's like a post office from Netherlands. I had a buy-in price of 40 euros. My turbo was pretty aggressive, it seems, because I really didn't pay much for each turbo. I bought 300 of them, so it's not too much either. I paid like 8 euros. No, like this, you have to multiply this by 2 because this is only for one transaction, and then you have to also sell it again, except when it expires. So I guess I was lazy at the bottom. I only did this. I did this times 2, but I guess it actually is a bit less maybe than this, so like 4,500 euros probably, because certain amount of my turbos expired worthless. Yeah. So it seems like I just let this one run out. I had 100% loss on it. I think it's kind of obvious that a turbo should never expire. Like, you shouldn't buy turbos that you're willing to go ride until you stop loss, because how turbos work is that they are the most volatile, and the highest price changes are when it's close to their stop loss. So that's when you can potentially make the most money, but also potentially lose the most money. So in my experience, like sometimes, like for example with Euronav, which I showed last time, it makes like a little dip, more than you expected, and it actually like barely hits your stop loss. You instantly lose all your money. Like, this is not a good idea. Most of the times we're gonna trade now, I think, is with not too aggressive turbos, which means that the stop loss is really below any support lines or support lines that you, or resistance lines that you conclude beforehand. Okay, so I'm aware of my problems with Infra, that it doesn't full screen show, but I don't know how to fix it yet, so we'll go with how it is now, and we'll see you later. So we're here at Postenal. I had mine trade at 17th of May, so it's around here. Yeah, so 7/20/27, sorry. So on the 17th I made my trade around here. Around here it just dropped big, so it was one of my first turbo trades, and as you can see, I sold it a few days later, I think here somewhere. It didn't make me much money, but overall the thinking was good. Like, the stock was over corrected and it needed to go back up. It's just I didn't have any idea of how this works in the setting of markets, and how slowly the change is, and not like V-shaped immediately always. So I think one of the obvious mistakes I made here is I didn't wait for any support or resistance line to show up, or any indication that the stock would go up immediately the next days, because that's actually what you're looking for when you're trading turbos, swing trading. So a better thing was to do is, like, if you look at the Bollinger Bands, it was really volatile, going downwards. I shouldn't have bought here. This is like the stupidest mistake. What I should have looked more for is like these ones here. It's like it tests the Bollinger Bands, then it breaks it, which Bollinger Band means 2 deviations, which means that the mean prices usually reside between those Bollinger Bands, because outside of it is like a low percentage of time that prices will actually be in those ranges. So always when you see crossings of Bollinger Bands, like in a horizontal way, like here, it's always interesting to invest in them, because these are usually a good indication of when stocks are going to potentially reverse and go in the positive or in the negative direction, the different direction that you're thinking. Like, you can see this a few times. It's here, like it's here, it's here almost. Like you can see this and there's always like this narrowing of the Bollinger Bands and then the widening of the bands, and this is like mostly high and low volatility. How if the bands are closing in and going horizontal, it's mostly not so much is traded and it's low volatility, which usually gives a good indication of, okay, this is probably a good time to buy in if I see the stock going up or down in the future, because price is really like not stabilized but at a stable zone where it wouldn't range too much. So for example, you could buy here, like here's a narrowing of the Bollinger Bands over here, so you could potentially bought like some turbos here with their stop loss somewhere below, like for example over here or something. Like always put your stop loss a bit below the Bollinger Bands, and I think we've also already seen like a few key rules here that are of any use for trading turbos and looking at when are good moments to buy in, because that is the most important and difficult part. Like everybody can just buy turbos and most of the stocks will go up and they always will make money, they think, but the important thing is like if you buy here, you're gonna make way less money unless you hold it like really long, which is not really what you're looking for. So you rather wanna invest here at the low point and watch it like in a week or two, make a good profit, and then sell it back at the top of the Bollinger Band, for example. Like you could buy here and then sell here or something. It's like maybe a week and a half, and it could make really good profits already. So I guess that will be the first two rules that I wrote down. Okay, so number one, let me have a look at the chart real quick back. Okay, so always trade when you have confirmation of the direction you are trading in. This means like having support lines that are tested, having a few bounce backs, some indicators like the Bollinger Bands that are being crossed, and that gives good indications that okay, stock is potentially overextended at this point. These are like important things to look at for like also keeping yourselves confident and secure in your trades, because a lot of times you may see all of the indications and things you want to see for the stock to go towards, but it doesn't, and you kind of have to stick with your guns sometimes and see, okay, this is actually going to go upwards, even though that most people are thinking or selling it today. And that's the difficult part, like keeping onto your trades that you're confident of. So I always suggest confidently make trades, actually put in the work that okay, this is how much, this is why I think it's going upwards or downwards, and as long as you do that, you will keep better mind and hopefully make less fear of missing out these mistakes. It's like thinking one bad day is actually the beginning of the downfall or something. You should always keep in mind, and like you should keep stop losses, and if they're hit like levels you wanna sell at if the stock goes wrong, and you should always respect those, but we'll see that later. But this is the first rule that I want to implement it. Second one is maybe a more practical rule. Bollinger Bands are good indicators of stock volatility, meaning presenting good buy and sell time points. What I mean by that is, as you saw, like Bollinger Bands going horizontally or Bollinger Bands expanding are two different things, meaning that stock are gonna change in a different way over the couple next days. So these can represent a really good opportunity to buy in, or to make sure that you lose some potential turbos you're in or something. So these are like one of my favorite indicators, and I will use them a lot in the next analysis, or in this channel, I hope. Was there something else I wanted to touch on with this one? Well, I guess that was it for this first one. I think one of the other things I can mention is never buy too aggressive turbos, because as you saw, like I lost 100% of my total investment, which is like something you would never want to have, because your money goes the fastest away at the end when it's nearing your stop loss. So that's when you're losing the most money. And if you already bought in like at a higher price and you're not buying in at those low money prices, then it's really no useful to keep on having those turbos, potentially losing a lot of money, more than you could potentially win. So never buy too aggressive turbos. Place good stop levels. Like, you want to really stop at certain points. If this market or this price goes below this kind of line or like direction, it should give you a signal, okay, this is not what I was expecting it to be, so I should probably resort to selling these options or turbos and rethink my strategy, what went wrong, and seeing, okay, this is need to be better in the future. That was it for the first stock, I think. Maybe the video is getting a bit too long, so I'll probably do a few episodes for the analyze part, but hopefully we can go through faster if I already have some rules in place. Let's see what the next one is gonna be.